Welcome to BSW's Tech Dive. Tech Dive.
Submerge the ship.
The show goes technically deep into products you care about. The new, the old, the newish. So put on your gear, close up the hatch, and prepare to
Dive. Submerge the ship.
And now, here's John.
Welcome to this edition of BSW Tech Dive. I am John Lynch, Director of Business Development here at Broadcast Supply Worldwide, BSWUSA.com in Tacoma, Washington. And today our topic is the dark side. Company called Arrakis, which we've worked with for many decades. They came out with the DARC protocol about 5 years ago, but it has advanced so much, we wanted to bring you up to date on what all they are capable of doing within the DARC mode. And our guest is General Manager for Arrakis, Alan Harrison. And Alan, let's talk first about how the dark side came about to begin with.
Hey, John. Yes, the DARC started 5 years ago with, we introduced DARC, our virtual software, as well as our control surfaces for working with Dante products. And we have our own 4x4 Dante simple IP boxes. We offer several bundles with that. It'll also work with any other Dante compatible source out there that works with either in the virtual software or with our 8 and 12 channel control surfaces. New for this year is we've introduced ASIO control with that. So that will allow you to use really some less expensive, very versatile equipment, working with things like the Digigram sound cards or some of their multi-input boxes, the Motu, the Lynx, Tascam. There's a lot of different products out there that you can tie to that will give you ASIO sources in and out and make it very simple to do your own digital virtual console.
So does this work for strictly broadcast usage, or are people expanding the usage outside of broadcast?
Yeah, we're seeing it used in lots of different areas. I've seen some just like little community mix, church applications in with television, anywhere where they're wanting to take a couple of digital sources and mix them together. It can be very simple to do that, and it gives you a console control. We offer the little 4x4 version of the virtual software for $500, and so that's just really hard to beat. With that, you can select additional sources if you need more sources and within those faders. So that's been very popular. That scales up to a 16-channel version for $1,200 on just the software side. And then when you start bundling that in with the hardware, depending upon what you do, if you have it tied with our simple IPs, it starts at around $2,000 up to about $4,000. So there's several options there.
Well, and this continues the Arrakis tradition you've always had. Multifunctionality at a low price.
Yes, we try to make it very user-friendly for getting into our products and provide professional broadcast quality in everything that we do.
Well, let's talk about, from a functionality standpoint, getting down to the basics. Okay, what would be some of the simpler type of things that people would do with the DARC and maybe some of the more complicated?
Well, the feature that people really want and love to have is that with the DARC virtual software, you're able to come in and remotely control your console from anywhere using just any remote control software package out there. So if you can take control of your computer, you can control your console. And so that allows you to put your station back on air, do any of those things. It allows you multiple points of access to your audio and what's going on with it. And you can distribute that across the digital network. And so it gives you lots of versatility there.
Now, when you talk about controlling your console, it sounds like it doesn't necessarily have to be an Arrakis unit.
With the virtual, we don't care what the sources are. I mean, we're just controlling the audio. So it could actually be running through some other console. Obviously, the slide faders aren't going to interact in that case, but we could have the same sources that are being fed on some other console being involved with it, and work with those sources that are on whatever that network is. If it's a Dante network and we can map those we can map them in, map them out, and we can reroute that audio.
So is it kind of like a fancy digital, what we used to do with the punch blocks from way back when, almost that kind of an effect?
It can be, but it's not. It's not the punch block of taking any input to any output. I mean, it is a console where we're taking those sources and then feeding a program, audition, and utility type of bus, or working with a set of a phone with a mix minus output. So it's all your standard broadcast console features is really what you're getting at. So you're just taking those multiple sources, mixing them down to your air output or production output for what you're doing with that audio. But it gives you that either in a virtual form just on your computer or with a simple control surface of the 8 or 12 channel console.
Now let's bring this down to a little bit different level from this standpoint, because as the world who have watched BSW Tech Dive shows over the years, they know when it comes to engineering talent, that's not me. And the folks at HDV Mixer fixed up the AirLink program so it was easy for me to operate. I'm not even controlling the cameras. It's doing it itself. So let's start this way. For somebody getting started with the dark side, as we call it, or DARC, is it a simple operation for non-technical types to operate?
Yeah, it is. It can actually be simpler than your traditional analog console. And as they're setting it up, we will help you get started with that mapping. It can get a little confusing laying out the grid. We will help step somebody through that. And if we have the information, we can set it up beforehand, and we'll get it lined up to where it is very easy to just turn those sources on and off and select what you're doing, to where it's more comfortable than even a physical control surface, and makes it very, very user-friendly.
For people watching this program, what's kind of the delineation point of, hey, the virtual will be sufficient for what they want to do, or we really need to add the control surface as well?
I would say it depends upon how much, on the level of the person using it. If it's going into a studio where they're used to doing a lot of live operations and you have a board op that wants to control his own physical fader, then having the physical surface there is nice. It is also something that you can add later. If you start off with just the software, you can add the physical surface to it later. If you have the physical surface, you always have the software. And so you always have the ability to take control through the software and manage it that way, or manage it remotely through the software. So it's very versatile. You're not locked in either way, and you can use it whatever's most comfortable to you.
And one thing that people can be comfortable with, this is not new to Arrakis. You've been doing this kind of stuff since the 90s.
Yeah, we started with the Revolution consoles back in the late 1990s, and that was a very solid box for a long time. As we were discussing earlier, we could probably sell them today if I could still build them. But at this point, it's moved on to newer technology, and this is a great way to do it. It's a lot less expensive than it was in those days, and the software is much more advanced. So it's a great thing.
And we're talking about DARC, D-A-R-C. As we mentioned at the beginning of the program, and maybe you've seen our other programs involving the ARC console and the MARC console. Well, now we're talking DARC, D-A-R-C. It's digital. It's originating with Dante, but now being able to do other elements of AOIP and advancing the capabilities that you have. And Alan, how would we wrap this up as far as getting to the audience what they need to know about DARC?
Well, the thing about using this is you can tie it into your existing system if you want. If you're just wanting to take and get some of the audio from one studio to another, you can tie your multiple studios together with your audio over IP background or backbone, and using this software as just a simple mix, even as a post mix, so that you have the ability to remote in and take control of things independent of what's going on. Or it can be your full station, it can be your full studio, it can run whatever you want to do with it. So it's a very scalable solution at a cost-effective price and get you started on digital audio without having to break the bank to get started.
Availability?
We have them on the shelf, It varies from time to time, but right now the software is always available. The hardware can vary a little bit, but it works with so many different things. You've always got options.
Alan, thanks for being my guest today. Alan Harrison, General Manager of Arrakis Systems, and I'm John Lynch, Director of Business Development here at Broadcast Supply Worldwide. Thanks for watching this edition of BSW Tech Dive.
Thanks, John.